Hi, so you want to learn how to make ears like these? I have it set to the 10-minute feature so I can show you how to do it. These ears also have wire in them so that they're fully poseable, and I can make them like little folded puppy ears. See? So, I'll show you how to make them. These are the materials that you're going to need. These two are only if you're going to be using fur, but I prefer to use fur. So the first thing you need to do is make your pattern. What I like to do is I like to use previous ears I bought off of Etsy to kind of trace so I can get the pattern. I completely forgot you're also going to need a headband. Any sort of headband will do. I got these from Hobby Lobby. Anyways, make sure that the ear kind of moves with your headband, if that makes sense, so that it doesn't look all weird. Now that we have that, you can go ahead and cut out your pattern. Once you get your pattern cut out, you can go ahead and put on the headband and then measure and see if it fits with the headband. You can also bend it if you're making the ears bendable. You can bend it so that you can see what the ears will look like. So we are good to go. Also, if you're gonna want your ears to have this little flowy fur piece in the front, you're gonna have to go ahead and pattern that. Once you get that done, you can go ahead and mark the fur direction and the color of the ear and go ahead and cut it out. Now you're going to want to trace it onto a thin foam sheet. I got this one from Michaels. What I like to do is I like to cut this one out and then trace over it and then cut the other one out. Now that you have the foam pieces cut out, make sure that they kind of match up with the headband. They don't have to be perfect. Again, this is only my second ever pair, so you'll improve with time. Now it's time for the wire. You are gonna have to use wire cutters in order to cut this. I've not had anything else work. Measure out about 15 inches or longer. This one's going to 17, but about roughly 15 to 17 inches of wire. Now this part is kind of infuriating, but you're gonna have to try and bend the wire in the shape of the ear. It doesn't matter if it's like poking up or not because you'll be able to glue that down, but make sure you leave about like 2 inches of wire on the edge. You can go ahead and let your hot glue gun heat up. I like to use the high temperature option, but you will burn yourself if you're not careful. While you're waiting for your hot glue gun to heat up, you can go ahead and trace out whatever fabric you're using. I prefer to use fur. A little bit of a fur patterning trick. Make sure that the fur is in the correct direction when tracing the pattern. I have had to redo it numerous times in the past. Highly low. Don't forget to flip your pattern for each side. Now that you have all the fur or fabric pattern, you can go ahead and cut it out. Also, I found out the best way to cut faux fur without accidentally cutting the fur fibers is to brush the fur in the opposite direction and then cut it out. And you can see once I fully brush it out, the fur fibers on the top will not be cut. See? Not cut. Now that your hot glue gun is finished heating up, you're going to want to glue on the bottom and then glue over top of it in little sections across. Be careful not to burn yourself when doing this. Now that you have both sides glued, you can kind of bend it into shape and the wire will bend with the foam. If you're using fur like I am, what you can do is cut it out in a rectangle and pre-shave it. I know some people like shaving it while it's on the thing, but I don't like doing that. If y'all want a tutorial on how to shave fur, I can give that one too, but it's just a lot and this video is already long. Now that you have both of the sides shaved, it's now time to start gluing. What I like to do is I like to flip it over and then glue this part and then flip it on top. Like that, and then you're gonna have to press it down. Again, I applied the glue and now you're going to press it down. Also, you're going to want to try to smooth it out while it's drying on the other side so that it doesn't get wrinkled. Also, it's good to leave at least a tiny bit of an edge around so that you can glue the back fur onto it. But if you're wanting to do any of dry brushing or any airbrushing details, you can go ahead and do that now. Once you finish with the airbrushing, you can go ahead and glue the pieces you've patterned onto the edge. You may have to adjust it a little bit because it may be a little bit too big. I went ahead and added some more airbrushing details after I glued that part, but now we are going to glue on the back. Once you glue the back down, you can go ahead and glue the edges to each other. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, but I mean, you can't really see it when you're wearing it, so. I'm not really good at explaining things, but here I am showing you how to wrap the wire correctly around the headband for the ears. Make sure to not do it too tight so that it is able to be like poseable and you're able to move it around on the headband. Make sure you have the wire sticking up while you cut it so that you're not getting stabbed in the head when you're wearing them. As you can see, I can move it around while it's still on the headband, which I really like because I like to make them kind of interchangeable if you want it, or to just adjust them while they're on your head. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please show me if you are to make any ears using this tutorial. I would love to see them.